ones. This is Divergence. Nice to see all your beautiful faces. Tonight, I'm going to be working a little in the background. So Darren's going to be the main face of this. We're going to do a very intuitive class tonight. We have, as you know, a loved one who used our remedy in court, who was put in jail. We're about to get a live update, and you're about to see some more remedy coming down the pipeline. So it's very exciting. Loved ones, can you please take note of where your cameras are at this moment? If we can see up your noses, can you please adjust the camera? We have mentioned this before. We are filming you, and we don't want to look up your nose, so please bring the camera higher so we can see your face and not the ceiling. You will only be warned once. Now, we have a couple loved ones, new ones in the house, where you came into our meditation and you were kicked out and put into the waiting room. There's a reason for this. You were disrupting our meditation. The key word was, please log in 10 minutes early for a meditation, not for you to walk around, for you to talk to people around you, for you to be disruptive. And please note, we notice all of this. We see what your intentions are for logging in early. And if you're tuning into equity, which is what we need you to do, or if you're just looking for remedy, we've talked about this, loved ones. It's not just about remedy. That's 30% of this. Okay, so we're going to be doing some live questions here. The Queens, we have been compiling some questions from the Telegram group that you guys had. I know Darren's been laying out, like, this isn't even Sharpie. This is like tattoo level for equity. I know the last couple ones were pretty heavy. They were thick. So that's why us Queens are going to kind of work in the background here. We're going to do some black law definitions and then break it down for crayon. So as we're moving through this a little bit more, it's a little bit more digestible. We're also going to be having a few more drops as far as this other 70% of equity. One is going to be this Friday at 7 p.m. It is exciting. Darren and I channeled in with Kim some amazing content, whole new spin to the Holy Grail, and what you put in your cup. It's exciting. So again, this is the 70% where once you show your paperwork to the gates of equity and they say, now, how do you serve us? You have an answer. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to pass this over to Darren. Here you go, loved ones. And Bryce is running a few minutes late, so we're just going to wait for him to come online here. While we do, I'll let Darren do what he does so well.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so yeah, brief overrun here, or a quick overview. So Bryce has been involved with doing some of our, let's call it, transferring a security interest. This is technical wording for us doing something with this birth certificate that we keep talking about. Now, again, there's been a lot of doom and gloom talk, and there's been a lot of billions of dollars talk and everything in between. No one's really, nailing down what this thing really is, what this birth certificate's capable of doing. And to be honest with you, it can actually do or perform or is capable of being involved with a number of different transactions. These things are vehicles. These things are utilities. These things are little vessels that can do a lot of stuff. Some of these things are, they can be capable of carrying rights. They can be capable of assigning duties. They can be capable of bringing value to certain situations. They can be capable of a curse where it can be used to actually pledge your entire God-gifted inheritance away to the state if we wind up using this incorrectly. So again, despite the doom and gloom, loved ones, these birth certificates, yes, they can be used as a blessing or a curse. And here's the cool part. We've all experienced the curse. So that leaves only the blessings here to come right away. And it's by our due diligence here, and us having the audacity to take on the system, really, and put your hand up a little bit and say, hey, wait a minute. This does not feel right with me. This does not vibrate with me at all, as a matter of fact. This actually kind of pisses me off. And every time I talk to other people, it pisses them off too. So what is this problem? Why does everybody feel so at odds with stuff? Everything just seems to be upside down or backwards, or it's inside out, or just nothing works right the first time. Everything breaks, everything falls apart. Like there just seems to be a whole lot of, I don't know, pieces that aren't lining up for all of us. There's something weird going on here. Again, this is where some of us have stumbled on to this weird concept of we became a member of a corporation such as Walmart or Home Depot when we used their ID and said, hey, I show up for work today. What do you want me to do? and the floor manager was like, oh, well, thank you for appearing today, Diane. Yes, we can put you right to work. Get over here and start doing this. That's literally what's going on here, folks. We didn't need to go and identify as a Walmart or a Home Depot employee, where they literally register us in a system. They give us an employment number, and through that number, we go and create a whole bunch of commercial activity, right? That is monitored from the day, almost nowadays with the technology they got, it's almost from birth, right from that day, or almost right to the day you're gone, and every day in between. It's all monitored, and it's all being monetized. And this whole system is based on these birth certificates. Again, this very good colleague of ours in the United States, I keep mentioning this guy, he had a second or third party friend that was literally in the FBI. This guy let it be known that the FBI knows that the entire stock market out there is basically funded through the labor and performance of our birth certificates. Because remember, you need this birth certificate to go start a corporation or a business for yourself. So without that birth certificate, without that nationality, without this thing, we have a hard time functioning in society nowadays at any level. You're literally cut off from everything. If you didn't take that little piece of paper or plastic, back when we were kids, right, it was paper, taking that thing and actually going and doing something that we weren't quite supposed to do led to a certain set of events that set us up. And throughout this whole process, we are alleging to know exactly what it is we're doing and that we're capable of sound mind decisions, and we're making informed application of our lack of wisdom. And as a result, we all pay the price dearly. So fast forwarding here a little bit. Bryce, again, he's been a good friend of mine and Dean's for a number of years. This guy has taken some of the processes that we're dealing with the adverse claim and that affidavit and the security agreement. And he was involved in, I guess, what I'm being made aware of now was a criminal case. But this criminal case, I think it stemmed from being pulled over and not having the driver's license story, not having the registration story. That's what led to this arrest. I mean, I could be wrong. He might be able to fill that in a little bit, but that's essentially what we're dealing with here. So long story short, because Bryce is being, he's in the system, he's known to local authorities as being a bit of a shit disturber, and this not complying with public law, whatever they want to require us of this sort of thing. So he's actually now taken upon himself where he has gotten some paperwork deposited or recorded or filed, or at least he passed it off to the clerk or the registrar. And what was in this particular package of paperwork here not that long ago was him conveying or delivering or transferring the birth certificate with a small paragraph handwritten on the very instrument itself. We attached a silver coin. We tried to come up with a bit of a trust agreement, and then we sent this off. He sent this off, or he showed up in court, and boom. And the registrar accepted it. This is about 2 weeks ago now, where the registrar or the clerk literally said something to this effect. Again, I'm just paraphrasing here. He'll be able to fill in the blanks exactly. But once you do this, there's no going back. That is getting absolute confirmation from a court official that something is about to move, if it hasn't already. The fact that it is moved means that you have been disposed of that interest. Literally, a disposition of interest. You literally take on a whole new position. A disposition of interest is a very important phrase that we need to have, relatively close to the forefront here of what's going on. So this certain disposition of interest is you taking that certificate, prettying it up, making it a little bit fancier, making it a little bit more valuable, And because we make it valuable, that puts us in a good position. It puts us in a position of honor, of standing, of reputability, of trustworthiness. That's why this process is so important. Imagine being deemed dead and lost at sea, thanks to all those legislations back from 1666 and others. Thanks to all these legislations where they got to, over the course of plagues and great fires and droughts and world wars and all these other things, they pass all this legislation with men and women like us not having a clue what's going on. We rely on our public representatives to break it down into layman's terms and explain it to us so we can understand. Really? Well, they do a pretty shitty job of that too. Because the last time I checked, that's still another whole circus going on. Almost every government in the world, right at the moment, is involved in some circus-like activity. It's some kind of a drama show. This is Roman theater at its best. But here's the good news. All these people that have sworn an oath to serve the government, that is stuck with them for the duration of their appointment or the duration of however they elect or choose to be a government official. This actually leads to a question here that came through one of the chats here the other day where, okay, how come you can't go onto the legal side, learn everything to a T, then leave the legal system, come back to the private side, and then cash in on everything that you figured out on the legal system and benefit from both worlds? It doesn't work like that. And as a matter of fact, they, as in the gatekeepers, they run a pretty tight ship when it comes down to who you're associated with and who you're friends with. And if you happen to be friends with a chief circuit judge down in the United States and you have actually expressed no interest in this type of thing at all throughout the course of your life, and all of a sudden, poof, you go and liquidate your estate and you're gone within 3 days, they're going to want to know how, who, why, when, and what, all those questions. And they will actually go and start doing a little bit of digging on you. Where did you come into this information? Because if it's being leaked, where someone can literally have the entire package A to Z in a 10-minute presentation, sign here, do this, do that, send it here, done. You got it. That's the elusive journey that we've all been on this whole time. So for someone to come out of the blue and pull it off and run, they know, that's a little bit suspicious. That's a little bit sneaky, right? Whereas everybody that has expressed an interest in this stuff, whether you're texting it, you're emailing it, you're talking about it on the phone, or even when you're thinking about it, I'm going to throw it out there right now that technology is capable of reading our minds. I'm going to suggest that they've already got that. They just can't let us know that they got that yet, right? Because we probably would have a problem with it. Maybe, maybe not. Point being here, so Bryce goes into court to yesterday. And again, I'm still a little bit unawares of exactly what he was rolling into. So I had assumed that the case being made against him, he was going to be able to just file a counterclaim and deal with a criminal matter. Problem is, they don't want us doing this in the middle of a criminal matter. So you know what? I know Bryce, they're going to let him in a second here. And before they unleash him so that he can start talking, this is probably how we're going to do this. I'm going to let Bryce tell the entire story from A to Z. Just give it to us, Bryce, in 5 to 10 minutes type of thing. Just lay it out there. What happened starting, 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever led to today's events. What's going on right now? What just happened, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to get that whole picture dropped. I'm not going to say a word. Okay. I'm just going to sit and let it roll. Once he's done the story, and then we'll go back to the beginning, and then I'll put all my 2 cents worth on top of everything. And I'm sure we can stretch this into an hour or so pretty quick. All right. So I think I'm just going to mute out here for a second and let Bryce take over. All right, here we go.
And hey guys, you guys are going to have to forgive me for not having much of a voice. I lost it today when I was yelling at I was inside cells, and I was actually just kind of at the point where I was like, this is so ridiculous, because they just had me sitting in there for like a day. And so I just demanded to be in front of the judge, and then they put me in front of the judge's sister, who happens to be a judge also, Judge Desmond. Now, they didn't really want to hear any part of the conflict. They didn't want to hear hardly any of that, only because they kept trying to tie me to the name. And I just kept saying, I'm not the name. When I got in this afternoon, I was pretty much so frustrated with the surrender, And I had said to them, I said, look, like, what do I got to do? You know, like I've come here and I'm trying to be as honorably as I can. And yeah, I'm finding it so hard to talk now because I was yelling so loud. But, you know, it was when they arrested me the other day, it was on the bench warrant that they had issued when they hit me with a surprise court date. So I had already surrendered at that point. And on the 16th, when the courts accepted my paperwork, I was like, okay, so, you know, I'm finally out. And then just going to court today, yesterday, I said the conflict right away as soon as I got there. I explained, I was even reading right off of the counterclaim that we had done up, just so I wasn't fucking anything up. And then they still just wouldn't hear it. I explained to her that, you know, I had surrendered that person. They had the person in custody. She still issued a bench warrant for me, and the sheriff still arrested me. And I'm like, how the fuck is this possible when you guys have the person in custody? And so I just went with them, and, you know, I got fed right away. I pretty much slept the entire time I was in there. But this has just been a bit of a battle, you know, since, well, not a battle, but I mean, just getting the paperwork in, mailing it off, you know, waiting for responses. And then just, it's interesting just because, I mean, you've helped me so much, Darren, and, you know, doing that up the other night, like I was on the meeting, I was at a job site. I came back to get it done, and then for the life of me, I couldn't get Adobe on anything. And finally, Andy and Amanda let me use their computer, thank God, and they got quite the nice little setup going on. But so tonight, they're going to let me use it again, and just to tweak up whatever. But no, it's so interesting because I'm driving around now day 6 with the plates. I gave them notice of that, but they still haven't stopped me yet. So I don't know if it's just for a matter of them not seeing me, but I'm still doing it. I got it at court today. I had no jacket yesterday because I got all dressed up in a nice shirt. I had a vest on. I had dress pants. I was trying to get the whole 3-piece suit going. And because everybody's like, oh my God, you know, you suit a suit so well. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start dressing totally different now. But I basically today I walked in and I just, because they had me come in from city cells, I went into the little booth. I said, look, I'm not the name. I said, you guys have that person in custody again, you know, and what do I have to do? Because they keep making it out like there's just no leaving, you know what I mean? And I was telling the judge yesterday when I went into room 100, it was just a little stand-up courtroom. And, you know, I basically just started off with the conflict. And then the one woman, because there was 3 women up on the screen, the one woman wasn't hearing it, but the other woman, she's like, well, I think we should get this before a judge. And the lady's like, can we get it before a judge right now? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it now. So they gave me like 40 minutes. And so I went and just talked to Steph a little bit. But I had such a good feeling about things until I seen the same judge who had me thrown in jail the time before. And so she just wasn't even hearing it. She wasn't having it. Yeah, that was when they sent me to Oliver Corrections overnight. And I got to stay on the 3rd floor penthouse of that place. But I had never really been to jail. So they gave me the COVID test. They didn't really give me a psych test. But I just kept saying today, I'm like, I'm going to contact the military because I don't know what else to do to deal with this. Like, you know, my mom she's panicking and I'm trying to take care of her. I'm taking care of Steph, you know, as best I can, you know, and doing this on top is, like I'm fighting to be heard. And I really lost my voice today. I was just like, I'm ready to see the fucking judge. Yeah. And because it's like they had kept me in there for so long. And I was just like, why am I sitting here all day just wasting fucking time, you know? So then the one sheriff, he's like, I showed you the picture. You've seen the picture of yourself. I don't know why you're saying it's not you. And I'm like, that is not me. I'm like, I'm not that person. I'm not able to act in person. I said, I'm unpersonable. And, you know, and I even explained to the sheriffs, I said, like, isn't it your guys' job to be like transferring the trust? I said, I surrender this to the courts. You guys all know I have it. You guys have all know I've done it. They know me walking into court now all the time. The sheriffs at first were pretty ignorant, but like when they went to arrest me yesterday, I was like, are you guys fucking kidding me again? And so I just went along, and I thought maybe at one point that they were going to get violent with me, but they didn't. And because it's like I kept saying, like, hey, I'm not here playing dress up. I'm a fucking man. And I'm here to, subrogate. I want to settle. I'm seeking complete justice. Like, I can't get it at law. So that's why I have a conflict. And I said that to both judges today too. And they just kept making it out like, that there was just no way out. So then they set up a Tuesday appointment. I go back Tuesday before the judges again for this driving. And I wasn't even driving my mom's car when they ended up giving me the ticket. And that was when Buddy had stolen our cat. And I just drove right up. I followed him. And I followed him home because we didn't know where he lived. But this was the weekend of the accident when Steph had her head ripped open. And that was freaky enough as it was, because I was, there I was following her.
Okay, so Bryce, so you said it's next Wednesday, you said, or what day was it?
No,
next week?
Tuesday. It's this Tuesday coming up. It's on the 14th.
Okay.
And then I have an appointment in Penticton with the registrar on the 16th. And then they want me to go to sentencing on the 24th. That was as soon as they could fit me in on the week that I had surrendered everything to the courts. And I got it in. Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday. Okay, now go back to that when you handed your stuff to the registrar that day on the 16th. What exactly what exactly went down there?
Well, I went in and I dropped the 3 affidavits before court that morning because it's been a matter of money, right? Like, so I had the money to drop it in, and I said, okay, I'm going to go do this. So first thing in the morning, I showed up all nice and dressed. And the woman, she took the affidavits, but then I was up in court and Steph said, well, the woman says you have to attach something to the second, and I forgot to attach anything to it. So I was like thinking, I'm like, okay, well, what can I attach? And I'm like, well, I might as well attach everything. I'll just stick the birth certificates, the trust agreement, the PPSA, the mortgage, everything. I just gave it all to them under that affidavit. And then, so once I did that, the one woman, she was like, okay, well, I'll go get the chief magistrate or whatever, or the registrar. So she came up and she said, she's like, if you do this, like, you're never going to get this back. And I said, take it, just take it, all of it. Like, how else do I surrender this? And you guys are finally going to accept it. Take it. And then that was that. So I walked into court and I had just a way calmer approach to everything because I was like, oh, it's finally over. You know what I mean? So I get there and they're doing my trial, and the cop comes up and he says his piece. And I had said to the judge that day, and he was a nice judge because I was in there watching for about 5 hours. And I thought, this guy's pretty decent, And so when I got up, it was just me in the courtroom. There was nobody else. And he was just kind of laughing it off a bit. He's like, I see your paperwork. He's like, there's no getting out. And it was so weird because every time I went to speak, they kept cutting me off. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I went in front of the judge on, I think it was just a couple days after, because he said he was going to give the Crown time to prove their case. And I said, I'm the one coming with full title. I said, I don't have a claim here. I'm claiming this. The prosecutor wants to claim something different. Go ahead. And because I said straight up the whole time, I said, I'm guilty of the facts. Nothing more, nothing less. And I said, and I wanted them to find me guilty of the facts the entire time. And then they're dragging it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's that process. So again, when the judge is saying there's no out, again, that's how bad that defendant position is. I would literally almost agree with the judge. Like, from that spot, we're dead in the water. They can refuse to hear everything. We're talking about trust and equity, everything we're talking about, they can just ignore it. Yeah. So that's why getting out from underneath that defendant position is job numero uno. That's the first thing. That's the first thing we got to do. So the counterclaim that Bryce came up with and that we are putting together for him for yesterday, we're essentially going to take the bulk of that content. But this time we drop it into a petition. And this time, given urgent circumstances, he can file that anytime between now and next Tuesday. Once that gets filed, now again, when he goes to the courthouse and they ask for ID, where's the ID? You have it. So therefore, I can't act as it. You have it, magistrate, registrar, judge. Therefore, because I'm not in possession, and again, this is where we'll probably this is where I'm going to suggest we're going to do one more affidavit, kind of based on the affidavit I spit out here the other day for everyone just to take a quick peek at. I've been putting a few more hours behind or into that document. So I'm going to think again over the next day or so here. That's going to be a much more refined version. It's going to be a lot more applicable. It's going to have a lot less confusion with it. We're going to streamline this a bit. We're going to really nail down just the facts without as much fancy language. So that thing's going to get tightened up. Bryce will take a working version of that. Get his civil action started. Once we fix the title. See, this is the thing about the criminal side, loved ones. You can't fix your titles when you're on the criminal side. It's super hard. That's why I'm suggesting fix your titles on this side before you get into the criminal arena. Because once you fix your titles over on the civil side, you can't be brought into public court for any reason at all. Yeah. So the judge is correct. So even though Bryce has come at him with a whole bunch of like incredible stuff, the judge is actually still able to say, no, I don't see any of it, and I don't hear any of it. Yeah. And if you happen to land a judge that you had an encounter with, an occasion or two ago, again, that's where it just starts to get harder and harder and harder for us. Which is, again, there's a testament right there to acting with kindness and peace, right? And I'm not suggesting Bryce isn't doing that, but if we're going to come at this with an attitude of peace and kindness, it bodes so much more better. It carries a lot more credibility for us. Again, we're trying to prove ourselves trustworthy here. And if we're in the courtroom coming apart at the seams and calling the judge F words,
I wasn't.
Yeah, no, not you. I mean Dean.
Yeah.
So this is where we needed to learn, expand our horizons a little bit there. So, and again, I've been in these situations firsthand where, I might have just gone through the exact situation Bryce did when I was in jail last time. And then, a week later, all of a sudden I have an emergency ghost hearing out of nowhere. And I'm brought before 3 women in a courtroom. They're all dressed the same. It's like, well, this is interesting. Long and the short of it was, they say to me, well, Darren, it appears that you've slipped through the cracks. And we see no reason to hold you here any longer. Boom, I was let out in 4 hours. But the point here is that I was in custody, knowing that, hey, I'm doing the best I can with what I got, and at some point in time, the equities are going to start to kick in. So again, I was in there for a little while before that happened. So again, they like to test us as the first line of people through the door. It's their job to test us to make sure we're literally better than average, believe it or not. Because go ahead.
I brought up a couple of times. I said, I have never done harm to anybody. I do no harm. I honor my word. That's it. I go out of my way to help people all the time. I'm not breaking any laws here. You guys show me the injured party. Please show me the injured party. And I just stuck to that. And I was like, I don't know how else to surrender to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is where having your affidavit brought from that petitioner or plaintiff position, I'm going to tell you right now, is the game changer. You can have that exact same document, but from the defendant position, they'll just go, nope.
Yeah.
Don't care. Bring it from a position of authority, though. Bring it from the guy who starts the proceeding, who gets to set the jurisdiction. I know it can't be that easy, Darren. Well, yeah, what? Actually, it is. This is why I'm saying we needed to get away from that defendant position at all costs. Now, if you're not in a defendant position, and if the police aren't after you, whatever, if you're not involved in a situation like this, great. Still take it upon yourself to grab that petitioner by the horns get some paperwork going, send it off, get that ball rolling for you while you're able to. Because you don't want to, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was agreeing. Sorry.
Yeah, this is fundamentally, this is the most important thing we got to do here. We can accomplish so much in an affidavit that's only a page and a half long when we style it correctly, when it's built correctly, when it's just talking pure, equitable stuff. Not a lot of fancy language, no legislation, no none of that shit, no emotion, no stuff we don't need. Again, we're literally proving with our affidavit, we're stating facts to exist. And once we can prove something exists, then we can prove we have an interest in it. And then we can prove we can move that thing. We can prove that another party ought to be in possession of this thing. But again, doing all of this stuff from the defendant position just does not work. They just will not go there. Why? They don't want that stuff on the public record. So again, they're just going to keep smashing us on the public side. That's their job, which is why it's so important that we style our paperwork to the judge sitting at chambers. We don't want this going to the public side at all. So when the clerk opens your envelope and looks at your documents, it's going to have a nice little cover page. And on that cover page, it's going to be a quick little blurb suggesting why your particular special matter is not to be commingled with the public interest. You do not act in the public interest when you do not have possession of the public character anymore. You can't. That literally is what breaks the chains. If you're no longer chained to the rock, you're no longer liable to the rock. We literally get this space that opens up. Call that freedom, really, at the end of the day. So again, Bryce, over the next few days here, we're going to develop what I'm talking about. So probably tomorrow, I think what I'll do is I will probably around lunchtime, 1 o'clock-ish, my time here, I'll probably go live, maybe do another 1 hour based on that particular affidavit. We'll take a version of the one I'm working on, and we'll start building it specifically for what you're doing. And then we're going to get the petition going right back to back, like boom, boom.
Okay, because I can get that in court, like right after we do it up, I'll go down to the courthouse and I'll drop it in, like right now.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to do it that way. We're going to get it set up. And again, streamline, simplify, make things much clearer, way less fancy language, way more clarity.
Yeah, I'm trying to add clarity. It's funny because he's trying.
Again, everyone has to be, a little bit patient with me here. Again, just keep in mind, we're going from 40-page documents with a whole bunch of language we don't understand. It's actually, it takes a little bit even for me to unwind and be able to crayon this to loved ones so that, again, this is, we can connect the dots here.
So yeah, you had the 28 pages.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go. See, and even that, there is so much substance in Bryce's package, loved ones. Like there was so much stuff there. Now I'm thinking we probably don't need 2/3 of it. But we can't. Again, this is equity. This is it rolling. This is how equity runs. It must be for the simple man and simple woman. It's meant for the meek, right? Again, any individual who spends a little bit of time studying this stuff, but not 35 or 40 years worth.
Yeah.
That doesn't, come on. We need to, it needed to be a little bit more reasonable than that. And it is more reasonable than that. It's just taken us this long to unwind the whole thing and present it in a manner that is, people can relate to it. But here's the problem though. We got 3 or 5 different things that are very critical. This is the mass. This is the material that we need to talk about. We need to identify it. We need to get it in a position where we can do something with it. So there's a whole bunch of these little steps. This is the procedure that they're always killing us with. If you don't do it exactly right, boom, you get nothing for remedy. Well, that's at law working. And we're in the at law system again because we use that birth certificate incorrectly when we made application to become these public citizens. Boom, that sealed the coffin. They put it back in the ground and they threw the dirt back on it. Can you imagine being in the box though, and you're kicking and screaming, trying to tell the judge up there, hey, I want you to hear my equities. You're 6 feet in the ground. He can't hear a word you're saying. you're down in the hole. You're talking equity. He's like, no, man, no. And you know what? Again, believe it or not, I'm going to throw this one out there again. Like there's judges out there that some of them I'm going to say are very partial to common law. And then I'm going to say there's others out there that are very partial to equity. And here's why. Because I've seen in legislation a number of times where it says a good judge would do the following. It's like, okay, well, that's just opened up the door for there to be the possibility of there being a bad judge. As soon as you identify one, you got to have the other. So again, I've seen conflict between legal and equity over the course of almost 1,500 years. It's there. You can actually dig it. You can go read about it, where each court is arguing with each other. And one chancellor, he wants to run a whole show a certain way. Then you got a common law judge over here that calls that judge crazy. And these guys are literally battling between the jurisdictions. That's why this is a fight for our soul. That's why it's a fight for where are we placing our treasure? Where are we laying up our treasure? Are we laying it up in that legal system, working 9 to 5, wages for sin? Again, we did the best we could with what we had. Nobody knew any better. So that's why I don't want anybody to ever be feeling bad about what we did. We just had to learn from it, move on, make things right.
And I'm literally trying to do that. And I even said that to all the judges each time. I said, I am trying to just settle the matter. Like, I'm trying to just end this. Like, I don't know what else to tell you guys other than charge me guilty of the facts. And I think that they are going down that road.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to tighten up the language. I'm going to give you 5 to 10 bullet points where instead of saying, I don't know what to do anymore, you just start laying down particular facts. On such and such a date, I attach valuable consideration to a perfected security interest as listed as collateral as a bona fide protected purchaser for value without notice. I'm coming now as the settlor, having been from the grantee position, Your Honor, talking like this, boom, 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 just laying out hardcore facts, substance, instead of just kind of doing I've been trying to do this for a long time and nothing seems to be happening, Your Honor. No. Keep smashing out the facts. Keep dropping maxims. Utilize these opportunities, my friend, because remember, they're going to ignore it anyway, but you're getting it on the record. And that's the record that we use to get into chambers later and say, hey, Your Honor, there's no beef. I know you can't hear my equities on the public side, but thank you for allowing me to get it on the record. Until the judge says, remove that statement from the record, until you start hearing shit like that, I want you to be focused, dropping maxims, and I'm going to give you precision of language.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get this done.
Okay.
And a nice, calm, attitude, smiling, confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to develop the shit over that between now and next Monday night. That's for sure.
And I'm feeling actually pretty good about it because, like I said to them all too, I said, they were explaining today, they were like, oh, you need to come in next Tuesday. I said, look, I'll be here anytime you guys need me. I said, I'm supposed to meet with the registrar on the 16th. I said, I have sentencing on the 24th. I said, I'm not running or hiding from you guys, I'm not at all. And you guys are hitting me with these, sudden court dates and, bench warrant here, bench warrant there. And I always go in, I'm not running at all,
Yeah, and here's the cool thing. And here's what I can kind of surmise a lot of this with this particular statement right now. We cannot settle from the defendant position.
So let's talk about that because we've talked about this before, loved ones. Can you get to the court of equity when you are in the defendant standpoint coming into court?
No.
So it's important that we switch that and come in as the plaintiff.
Yeah.
So someone is coming into court as the defendant. They need to know they're already uphill.
And that's why, so what is the defendant rolling into court tomorrow? Pretend this is your first time. The first things you're talking about to the judge is, Your Honor, it is my intent and strict purpose to abate this proceeding, make application or motion for leave so that I can bring my equitable defenses in a court of competent jurisdiction. Because you know what, loved ones? The at-law side of the court is not a court of competent jurisdiction. It's a frigging circus. There's no justice there at all. It's an illusion. I can show you probably a million different references to where when it comes down to the nuts and bolts and the meaty parts of the legislation and the court rules, things of this nature, it always refers to take your shit or take your action, your claim, whatever, to a court of competent jurisdiction. That's the equity side. The fiction side is not competent. It's run and managed and strictly for lunatics.
So you can yell and scream as much as you want. But the point is you have to get into the right position before you can even speak equity. Rather than
yell and scream, again, precision of language, bring your own cause of action as the plaintiff petitioner, the complainant. That's because the difference here is that you're the author. And if you're the author, you can authorize stuff. That's such a stronger, more powerful position, because now your affidavits will actually even start to work. I'm going to throw it out there right like this. When you are in the defendant position, stripped of every right and liberty, and when the system only sees you acting as a dead fiction, we don't even have the standing or capacity to argue a legitimate defense. You're already found guilty. The rest is just a frickin' illusion to make us go along with the show. You're already guilty. Again, they'll let 1 in 100 free to keep the cattle under control. That's all that's going on here. Flip the table, though. Show the judge what you got with a properly styled affidavit, page and a half-ish. Maybe even refer to a security agreement. Hey, I got hiding in the background over here, Your Honor. Oh, and by the way, I've even got an administrative agreement. I've got an inter vivos irrevocable trust I've expressed, Your Honor. But what did all that mean? Okay. Inter vivos, Latin for the living. And expressed trust is, as soon as it comes out of your mouth or your hand or you type it, it's expressed. The court cannot presume you have a good defense if you don't vocalize it or if you don't put it out there. Now, this is where the judges, we actually kind of back them into a bit of a corner. We're trying to force them to hear our equities on the public side and acknowledge it. Boom! Court rules say the exact opposite. That's not gonna happen, which is why they give you 30 days to settle your matter before you have to make your first court appearance, even for a speeding ticket. Oh, here's your ticket. You got 30 days to pay it, right? What if I want to come in at day number 6 and pay for it? Am I allowed to? You know what? At law? Nope. You literally have to wait the 30 days. That's on the common law side. Why? Because that instrument literally cools down. It cures. It's carved in stone now. Because if you had a legitimate defense to it, you would have knocked it out of the park within the 30 days. But no, look, you expressed no interest in this instrument. You did nothing. Didn't record anything at land titles or the property recording agencies. Didn't start your own court filings. Didn't report a tax event to the federal tax. You did nothing. And equity only aids the vigilant, not the people who do nothing. That's why that curing program or that curing period of time is important. Do you go tear into an apple pie when it's halfway through getting baked? No, right? There's a reason that they let these things cure, cool down. That's actually a legitimate common law saying. It's setting the stage for the next event. Now that they have something good, something reasonable, something marketable, they have an abandoned interest right here. Look, no one's expressed an interest in it, so now the court may proceed against the debtor. Because if the debtor was able to fix his position or her position through a disposition, he or she would have. If he or she knew what to do, they would be on it the next day after that. After you got the speeding ticket. Yeah, man, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, because today it was interesting because it was like when they were asking the prosecutor, he was like, hey, we're willing to just release him without any terms or conditions, and I had already said to everybody, I'm like, look, like, here I am coming in peace. I said, I'm doing the most honorable thing I can and doing this way. And I said, it's really, and so they really did seem like they were, gonna let things slide. I did keep cutting the judge off because I felt every time I went into court that they were cutting me off. And it wasn't like I was being rude or anything. I was just like, hey, I need to get this out. This needs to be heard. This needs to be said. And they were, like the prosecutor. I mean, he seemed like he was just like, hey, and it was all through video. And even at the end, the sheriffs are like, what do you think is going to happen when this is all said and done? I said, honestly, I don't know. I said, I'm hoping for subrogation and complete justice, and they were pretty nice at the end, and they released me way before an hour was up. They told me I'd be in there about an hour more, brought me down to cells, but then they released me within like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, right on.
And I thought that yesterday when they took me, they put me in processing, all of a sudden my picture wouldn't take. And Kate, a guy, I kind of mentioned this years ago, that when you do the step up and like weird things happen. So then they go to take me in the van wouldn't start. Like, I'm not shitting you. Their van, they tried it like 10 times. It wouldn't go. They had to switch me into another vehicle to take me 3 blocks to city cells. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was a good experience. Each time I'm learning something new, but I love it.
Yeah. Again, so this is where, Your Honor, if we're not going to acknowledge the perfected certificated security, specially deposited as securities paid into court today, I think I need to motion for leave so that these private special matters may be addressed in an effective manner, Your Honor. Again, you can just kind of go into a trance and just weave all this stuff together, sitting there, like close your eyes and just literally meditate. It's weird how they bombard your senses with so much negativity, so much doubt, so much fear. That's why most people crack. That's why most people can't do this. And this is why I'm suggesting, hey, do it from the plaintiff position. Don't do it from inside the jailhouse. Do it while you're out here. Do it while you're out here. Now, again, I'm not saying that Bryce isn't doing a good job here. No, because this is the work in progress. This is what we've been all aspiring to do. Now, I just want you to realize this. The judge knows what he's sitting on. The judge knows what you've done. All he's doing now is he's waiting for you to express the trust properly through your own motion. He cannot help you. He's handcuffed. No. He or she is handcuffed. They have to put on this public performance that they must uphold. Yeah, they have to uphold this public performance where they must uphold the public law, because we're deemed to be stuck in that matrix until we come with the power to get us out. And again, defendant position is not where we want to be.
They brought the chief magistrate yesterday back up because I asked for a certificate for surrendering my documents. I said, can I get like something to show me for this?
Yep.
She comes up and she's like, well, this is a counterclaim. She says, you can't really put this in. I said, well, look, I said, they keep trying to attach a name to me. And I was talking to her straight up. I said, like, I've surrendered that person. I am not personable. I said, more than anything, like I want this counterclaim to go in for whatever they're asking me at court today for.
Yep. Okay. So just to finish that off for you there, buddy, right substance, wrong mechanism.
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't have done it as a counterclaim. We should have just brought yours in today as a petition. Literally, it would have been the same freaking wording, just dropped into a petition. And then you're filing your own motion right there. Boom. That would have changed all of today. So all this is going to do is going to give us an opportunity between now and next Tuesday. We're going to refine the shit out of it. We're going to simplify it. Everyone's going to get to participate here because, again, this is the magic stuff that he or she who's been studying this process for any amount of time knows truly just how valuable this really is right now. And again, you're one of the very few, Bryce, who's managed to get that securities deposited or to get that security paid into court, even though you don't have a certificate for it yet. It's coming. The fact that you don't have it, the fact that they have it, again, this needs to be itemized and explained in an affidavit. On the 16th of November, Your Honor, happened, and I did this and this and this for the purposes of this and that. And I believe such an equity to exist. I know such is just. and I'm claiming such inequity right now. Again, that little 1, 2, 3 punch, and I still didn't style it quite right, even though I looked at it 15 times today. What I'm going to be doing here soon here too, loved ones, is when we post up some of our working documents and our glossary for words and things of this nature. Again, I've always talked about, okay, what are the first 10 things Darren would say if he ever got pulled over by a police officer? What are the first 10 things I would say to a judge? What are the first things I would say to a lawyer? Boom, boom, bing, bang, and the other. Okay, we're going to actually start developing that too and posting that, and just letting that just evolve, because we're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it tight. Again, just like the maxims, keep these things to a sentence. In the 15 sentences that you spend talking about not much, let's spend 5 sentences talking about a whole bunch. And that is going to make a big difference in the outcome or how it is we're treated. Again, the judges that are just looking for very key words at the very key right time for these magical things to start happening. And again, doing it from that defendant position, man, not fun. As Bryce is proving here, and I've proven, again, Dean's proved, and many others in the past here. But you know what? Again, this is why we rely on guys like Bryce, who have the balls to go into court right now to benefit all of us, so that we know exactly what not to do or to do. Again, it's because of guys like him and women like him out there that are trying, they're doing. This is, this is why I love these live presentations now. I find these are so much more interactive. The intuitive capability here right now, this is the way to go. Not just us recording and putting things up and, and then 1,000 people look at it eventually. Yeah, no. I don't care about that. It's this on the fly stuff where, let's say that some other loved one here was going into court tomorrow. We would have been able to spend half an hour tonight talking about what that individual is going to do better than what Bryce did today or yesterday. And then that individual comes back. Now, again, remember, loved ones, you don't go to jail when you're the plaintiff. Impossible. It does not happen. So we got to lose that fear. Oh my God, I'm going to go to jail if I fuck this up. No, not as the petitioner. That does not happen. At all. You can never get in trouble for trying to express a trust, for trying to assign, convey, or transfer a proper interest to the proper party. Trust me, loved ones, you never get in trouble for that. It's the exact opposite. We're in trouble right now because we're not doing that. Go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just totally have to agree to that, because I've come in from the defendant point of view from the get-go. But I mean, it's nice that they're still accepting it. I mean, that to me, it was like such a weight off my shoulders.
Yep.
I went into court. I was letting the trial happen, and I was like, hey man, I'm an idiot before the court. I just kept saying, I'm legally disabled. And the judge seemed like he was like, Bryce, you don't have to say anything. And I said, hey man, this is your guys' circus. The whole time.
Yeah. So again, so when the judge is saying that, that's where you would say, stuff like, well, I appreciate that, Your Honor. However, I would like to get this on the record, and then talk concisely, talk with precision, one sentence. Sure. Talk about those titles. Talk about being disposed of an interest. Talk about being the bona fide protected purchaser for value without notice. Talk about these things. Talk about the maxims again. We're standing before a judge rather than arguing and getting sucked into their black hole. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to suck you into argue. Because as soon as you argue, guess what you just did? You acted for the person again. You just answered for the person. So this is where, hey, if we're going to say things, we're gonna streamline the shit out of this and make this very precise. Surgical precision here coming up.
I'm totally down.
So again, this is going to start tomorrow. I'm going to spend the morning punching on. Yeah, okay. Are you around tomorrow, 1-ish?
Yeah, I will be on it. Well, I think it's 12 my time, is 12 your time.
Okay, so how about 2 your time, 1 my time?
Okay, well then we'll still be on 1 my time, 1 your time.
Okay.
I think you're on the same time.
Okay. Well, we'll double check that. We'll confirm that. But again, 1 o'clock my time would be perfect. I got something at noon I got to do, so that would set the stage for, again, we're going to start dealing probably the 1 hour segment in the morning. Let's talk about the affidavit. And then the 1 hour segment in the evening, like this time, we're going to start talking about the petition. So we're literally doing both in the same day at the same time, but we're not going to do them together.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, it's just so that it's not as confusing. How's that,
Okay.
loved ones?
And right now I'm at 7:55 my time. What are you at your there?
Yep, same. Okay, so we're good.
Same? Yeah, we're good.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, hey, I love you guys. I'm gonna have to get running here, but I'll be on for sure for 2. I'll probably be here at the office.
Okay.
1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay.
Right
1
on,
o'clock.
guys. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be here at 1.
Okay, dude. Thank you, everybody else.
You guys. Thank you guys so much.
All righty, everybody. And looking forward to tomorrow. We got what?
We have a few questions.
Oh, we got a few questions here we're going to deal with. Okay. Let it rip.
Oh, I'll answer what I can.
Not you. You mute yourself.
Okay, loved ones, we have a couple questions that we have pulled for you. So disposition of interest. Darren, does that mean that he was separated from his beneficial interest? So in other words, they stole it all.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 2 ways to to look at this. We literally disposed ourselves of the good stuff when we were 16. And then we were imposed with icky stuff. So now that there's this imposition on us to act as the liable party, to be the debtor, to pay the debts, to go to jail for this person, we have to fix that position by perfecting our interest, making it whole. That cures the first problem. And now that it's fixed, we strip it in half again and give that legal or security interest. When I say legal title and security interest, we're virtually talking about the same thing. Those 2 terms are basically synonymous. So the legal interest or the security interest, now that you can prove you technically have it, now it's time to get rid of it. We literally, imagine like a Tasmanian devil running around. We're just literally trying to grab this thing and put it back in its cage and send it back to who he belongs to. That's all we're really doing here. Because every time we try to grab that devil, it turns into a big nightmare. So, did I answer that one good?
You must have.
Okay, so yeah, hang on. So the disposition, yes. A fresh disposition or a new disposition has to happen now to fix the old one. And it's that repositioning. It's that setting yourself up. Granting. And again, here's the best way to grant that legal title away. It's through a private appointment. We can privately appoint any lawyer to be the receiver of a security interest or the legal interest. This is where we're going to start to tighten up some of Bryce's precision language. You, Crown Attorney, whatever your name is.
From the defendant standpoint.
You are hereby being privately appointed to act as a fiduciary new express trustee under an expressed inter vivos trust listed as, come up with if you knew your registered mail number off the top of your head, that would be a fantastic place to stick it right there. So again, this disposition of interest, we're literally moving positions. We didn't like it that way. And we're sure going to like it this way.
Is it true that the courts can ignore an affidavit?
I'm going to say if you supplied a fully equitably loaded affidavit on the public side of the court, would the judge ignore it? I'm going to say, yeah, they can. As shitty as that is, that's part of the package, though, we signed up for when we waived all our rights. When we literally got rid of all of our equities way back then, where are you getting them from now, all of a sudden, that you're using them, right? Because you got rid of them. Where'd they come from? So we better have a good story to tell the judge where they came from. Put that in your affidavit. And even if the court doesn't want to hear it, fine. Because here's why. At the close of the public side of this circus, something happens. The public side closes, but the equity side opens. So when the judge wants to move to trial, when the judge wants to, proceed with sentencing, we're going to actually have a couple little add-ons where you can actually influence the judge's decision right now. This is going to be part of the precision language that we come up with. Again, here's 15 key things that you might want to say. Memorize 3 of them. That's all you're going to have to do. And again, have a good maximum or 3 at the tip of your tongue, because when you make your little statement, you're going to back it up with a maxim. If you did that 3 different times, 3 different maxims, 3 different positions. I had the thing when I was making a mistake. I cleansed my hands. I perfected it. I gave it away. And now I'm in this new position, the 3rd position, to accept the benefit. That's how these trusts get created. And the only way these trusts get created is when we give up possession of that certificate and we give it to them. That's the only way a trust is truly formed. And how do I know that? Well, we actually had a letter from the Attorney General's office going back a few years where he literally said to our good friend, your trust is found wanting. Your trust does not exist. You do not have a bona fide trust. You haven't connected all the dots properly. And that was right from the Attorney General's office. Why? And here's why. Loved one at the time, he identified himself as the trustee, the executor, the administrator, and the beneficiary, all at the same time. No trust. See, you can't be, if you want to wear all the hats, who are you going to develop a trust relationship with? Yourself? Yeah, no, that's not how this works. So give yourself, let's call yourself the certificate. Let's reinvest yourself back to the state. Now, again, Bryce is sitting on a gold mine right now because he's got the securities lodged in the courthouse. The judge is just sitting back now waiting to see if Bryce knows how to pull the trigger and finish this whole thing. Trust me, that courthouse is buzzing right now. They all put on their cool as a cucumber costume and they all pretend like they don't give a shit what Bryce just did over there with that thing. But trust me, there's a lot of pretty important stuff going down right now. But again, we'll never know it when we're fighting it from the defendant side.
One day we will.
Come from the petitioner side, get all our power back, lay down. What are the governing rules and principles of my game now that I'm the petitioner? Well, let's start with the 20 maxims. Let's start with that. Let's start with all the equitable jurisprudence from Roman civil law to the English law to, French law. Mix it all together, Your Honor, because I know it's in there and I know it's fantastic. And if I were to have any reliance on any legislation, it could probably just be this. Judicature Act 1873 to 1875, where there is a conflict between the rules at law and the rules of equity over the same subject matter, the rules of equity shall prevail. And again, that little clause will be in pretty much, it'll sound like that, in every courthouse rules across the globe. Well, I don't know about China. It'd be interesting to see if China has it, but everybody else, everywhere else, literally has that built in. And that's our back door. The trick is, again, we got to get to the equity side. Bryce has done it. Bryce has pulled off the hard part from the defendant side. So at the end of the day, when we're all laughing about this in about 2.5 weeks, we're going to say, look at that. He even did it from the defendant side. Look how easy it was from the plaintiff side. Yeah, I know. That's why Darren's talking about it. It's literally going to be that much different. Don't be afraid.
So we have a loved one that's suggesting presenting the affidavit as a living testimony. Can you please address that?
The living testimony.
And what is a living testimony for those that don't know?
Well, that's going to help to start to defeat the presumption that you showed up in character or in person, or you're standing there as the dead thing with no rights. So this is what the judge is looking at. So I've got a dead guy presumed lost at sea now trying to tell me he's got a living testamentary interest in something. He's alive somehow. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit confusing. So here's what we do. Your Honor, we have a confusion of titles. Let the judge ask you, what do you mean by that? Boom. If he doesn't ask you what you mean by that, he knows what you mean by that. And because we have a confusion of titles, Your Honor, and in an effort to be convenient and spare any wasted court time, under emergency conditions, I motion for leave so I may bring my equitable claim as plaintiff to settle this matter once and for all, having been disposed of this certificate after I did this, and all this other shit to it. Your Honor, do you disclaim the trust, Your Honor? Oh, loaded question. What's he going to do? Publicly, he's going to get up and walk out. He's not even going to answer that one on the common law side. No, you just pulled his pants down and said, ha, you have a small pee-pee.
Wow.
Well, I could have talked about the law.
Wow, that would have been more appropriate.
Okay, well, maybe. Okay, so the point is we don't want to be embarrassing the judges like this. Don't put them in that shitty situation. Don't. We're trying to be friends. And doing it like that is not going to get us there. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Okay, was that enough for tonight? Yeah, I'm 5 minutes over already. All right.
Okay. That was loaded.
So here's the other thing, loved ones. We know 1 hour of this is about all we can. Let's be reasonable. When I'm up here rambling for 2 hours, you don't remember anything I said in the first 5 minutes. And then you got to go back and watch this 15 more times. And even that, and then I'm already on to the next episode, if not 2. So you see how you're just going to never catch up, which is why it's important that we have these little live presentations where I'm going to blow through as much stuff as fast as I can, explain as much stuff as I can. And when I get the, oh shit, you know what? I actually don't know that answer. Let's do some digging. Let's go see what we can find. Boom. Team, you guys, go see what you can find respecting this, that, and the other, and report back, right? That's where the wholeness of us working as a unit is going to really start to pay off.
And speaking of which, as far as working as a unit, loved ones, we have a lot of you saying, hey, Divergence, we'd really appreciate if you did like a PDF, or if you could do a spreadsheet, or if you could give us these lines. We're giving them to you. How about you form some groups and put them together for other loved ones coming in? When we have new members joining and they're like, hey, where's the link? What are we start busting out information about our meditation. Start helping us and teaching these ones. Show some leadership skills. You want to be a chosen one in the garden. Let's see your skills. Thank you.
The gears switch so fast, loved ones. Again, I've mentioned this a number of times. When you go from student to teacher, even though you're not ready, I don't care if you're not ready. Just start teaching it. Even if you literally have to teach it to yourself, just teach it to your dog. I don't care. She might be fascinated.
And just help one another. If you need something, then ask if there's other loved ones that would like to help you.
And I have noticed the chats. I mean, there is a lot of that going on already. And again, that's beautiful stuff. Let's just get more of that going. Because as you can see, like,
let's build this.
Yeah, this thing's just going to keep building and building and building. Now, because when Bryce's story, it's going to become pretty the focus. We're going to bring in maybe another loved one and his particular story as well. So we're going to actually be dealing, because we need to be dealing with like a tax situation as well, or a foreclosure situation and the criminal. We literally need to be dealing with all three at the same time. And we'll just manage crayoning this as we go. Maybe spousal things with marriages and shitty ex-husbands, and why maybe that's the fourth element that we got to dive into too, because I know that's it's just a reality of what we're living with nowadays. So
if you'd like to help and aid in that, please come together in the chats. Feel free to put that onto our kindergarten or our live chat. And again, we can help facilitate that. But we are not going to put this all on a silver platter, loved ones. Darren's laying this out already. We're trying to put out as much content as we can. Let us do what we're good at. And then you loved ones, this is where you come behind and show administrator skills that you're able to be what equity needs and be of service to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the amount of import and the amount of input that Jody and Kim and the other queens here are putting in here, because they're all doing this. They're all consumed by this, and they're all doing it for nothing. They're doing it to help move us all through this. So if anybody has anything that they're willing to contribute at any level, it's all going to be for a beautiful purpose. We can all, we can find a use for it somewhere. We're all good at something. And again, this is what Dean really promotes, is this coming together as a unit, this team effort. Again, a special forces team, they're going to have 12 guys on their unit, and every guy is going to be a specialist in something. But guy 8 does not do what guy number 2 does. Each guy is disciplined in his own practice. But you put 12 of these disciplined characters together, and wow, do they ever become formidable. That's essentially what we're trying to develop here, is a special forces team, a special love forces team, where these particular people are great at researching legislation, or this particular groups, they love putting the forums together, or again, because so much of this applies to so many different countries and states and territories, and where, things are just slightly different everywhere we go. So we need to kind of streamline this. We need to harmonize this. We need to, okay, well, that's the American equivalent to what Darren was just talking about in Canada. Boom. We need to find these types of things. And again, this is where me simplifying it down into, a page and a half, maybe 4. Some of these things are going to be 4 pages long. Okay. But again, at least I've chopped a 0 off of that. Make this a lot better, a lot tighter, and a lot more efficient. We're getting there.
And we got lots coming down the pipeline. Like we said, Darren's going to be just peppering you here with a lot of content that we're going to lay out. And again, the Divergence Queens are putting together the other 70% of equity. We're going to start laying that out. A lot of you have been expressing an interest in that, and we haven't touched too much on that, and for reason. And so now we're going to start laying out some track on that. And this is what's going to really start changing and raising your game and helping you get your equity glasses. It's like you need the other 70% before you can start really seeing everything. And this
is going to evolve real quick. Again, if we were to have 2 or 3 or 6 different examples of loved ones here in their particular little set of circumstances, when they're actually starting to do, and we're getting feedback, you can see at some point how much volume, how fast that's going to come, and how quickly we can just go, okay, this, and mix it with that. Boom, there's the answer. That's all that we really need to be doing here.
All right, loved ones. We'll see you twice tomorrow. Love you. See you next
time. I have something to add. A few people have been asking how they can redact their documents to post them for security reasons. There's a few options. Adobe Acrobat, if you are paid, there's a redact option. There is snipping tool. So if you're using a PC, you can download it, highlight over it with a dark, just like highlighter, select dark, or if it's in a Word document, just highlight over it with a dark option. It's very easy, simple ways. That way we can get a clear image of the documents you're posting. Because if you're posting at an angle, we can't see it. There's shadows and it's super complicated. So those are 3 great programs. I'll put them in the live chat so you guys can download them and do that for yourselves.
Excellent. And again, for myself, I try not to redact too much of my stuff, again, because I just don't give a shit. But that's not you. If you do, I respect that and appreciate that, and I will honor your wishes to not show your stuff. It's all good.
But we have to help the whole, not the one. So please, loved ones, if you want us to help, you want us to look at your stuff, again, please understand my inbox is just stacked. Please look at this. Can you please connect us with it? No. Our live chat in our kindergarten is the way to get a hold of us.
I would love to be able to just deal with everything here. Like, put your concern up here so that others can learn. Redact what you need to, and
Darren
then
will address it.
And we'll just keep building from here again. So you can see why it would be very easy for us to do this for an hour twice a day. Again, if you can't make the Zooms, if you've got other commitments, hey, I know life gets in the way. These things are going to be here. They're going to get archived. They're going to YouTube. We're here to build a library of this stuff. Do your best. I mean, again, you might stumble onto something right now that when you're going to bed tonight triggers an aha moment that changes your life. Those things happen. So there you go. So leaving you all with that, and have a good night, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.
Twice. Peace.
Love everybody.